Contigue. Speaking of super couples, I'm not going to say Contigue, Don Jr. and Kimberly are officially engaged. Don Jr. and Kimberly are officially engaged. If you want to buy the lovely couple a gift, they're registered with the law firm of Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood. I think they care more about their legal fees getting paid than the threat count on their sheets. So you might want to help them out. This is true. They went over each other's assets, and Kimberly is the one who demanded the prenup. That's how broke the Trump family is. This marriage, we can all agree, is doomed. I know that for a fact because Don Jr.'s bachelor party has been scheduled for after the wedding. But Kimberly and Don Jr. are so excited, they've already picked out the caterer they're planning to stiff. Kimberly's dress, and that will be the only thing that's stiff on the wedding night. Kimberly's dress will not be white for fear that Don Jr. will try to snort it. You know, they should just get married at City Hall in between all their arraignments. I mean, they're going to be down at City Hall, you know, getting arrested. They might as well get a justice of the peace to marry them. Well, from the bottom of my heart, and I do mean this because they take a lot of ribbing on this show, I wish them the absolute worst. I do, and that's not a joke. I wish Don Jr. and Kimberly, who used to be married to California Governor Gavin Newsom, which should explain that most people in politics are completely full of shit. I do. I wish Don Jr., the hunter, the worst, and I wish Kimberly the worst. I do. I hate them, and I hate their entire family, and I hate people who support Trump. I grew up in New York, New Jersey. I cannot believe that Trump still walks free. Donald Trump, Sidney Schonberg, who wrote The Killing Fields, Sidney Schonberg covered Pol Pot. Remember The Killing Fields, the movie? He was a New York Times reporter, and he covered the genocide in Cambodia. And then he came back in the late 70s for the New York Times, and they gave him a column, and he had PTSD from witnessing Pol Pot and the genocide. So Sidney Schonberg needed another Pol Pot, and he obsessed on Donald Trump. If you go read Sidney Schonberg, columnist for the New York Times, he warned us about Donald Trump in the late 70s. Donald Trump is a piece of shit. He is a naked man, a crazy naked man in the middle of the street, holding up traffic, hurling his own feces at everyone, including himself. That's who Trump is. And all anyone can do is stand around and watch and call him an existential threat to democracy, but do nothing. But do absolutely nothing. There's a man in the middle of the street having a nervous breakdown, hurling his own feces at us, and we say, this man is an existential threat to democracy. We must do something. And what do? We watch. That's what we do. How is it possible that he and that family are walking free? You know, I've known about Trump. Most of us have known about Trump. We know what he is. I'm angrier at the people standing around doing nothing. Trump is that rabid dog who bit a child's face, and the people who adopted that rabid dog will not put the dog down. Ever hear of people like that? They have a dog that bit a child right on the face. You know, I love dogs. I'm a vegan, but when a child is bitten by a dog on the face, that dog has to go down. Sorry, those are the rules, and that's who we are. We're going, well, he only bit one child. Mm-hmm. Well, today, January 6th, is the 1-year anniversary of when members of Congress finally got to experience how the rest of us feel every day of our lives. January 6th, horrible day, horrible day. But polling on January 6th shows that most Americans really don't care what happened to Congress, because Congress doesn't care what's happened to Americans. You know, they're sitting around and just watching. And again, you know, I don't condone violence. I don't condone what happened on January 6th. I think the people who participated in that should be locked away forever. They should. And everybody who incited that riot should be locked up forever. As I'm an Old Testament lefty. 2.5 million people behind bars. You know, let out the nonviolent offenders and start putting these people in. And we're not. You know, it's been a year, and most of us have moved on, including the Justice Department. So, you know, these big ceremonies, this pageantry. The law is the law. Trump should be indicted. What is the point of living in a surveillance state if we're not going to start rounding up our domestic enemies? It's been a year. It's been a year. Today, Biden said Trump holds a dagger to the throat of democracy. Nice rhetoric, a dagger to the throat of democracy. What? What does that mean? Now, given the choice between Biden and Trump, I'll take Biden. And, you know, Trump incited a riot. So that's against the law. We know that he incited the riot. We know Giuliani did. We know they met the night before at the Willard to conspire to stir up some kind of riot. You've got an FBI and a Department of Homeland Security, President Biden. Use it. Well, we shouldn't be locking up our political enemies. This is the argument against locking up Donald Trump, because that's something he would do. Exactly. That's something he would do. That's why you need to lock him up. Remember, he talked about locking up Hillary? We have political enemies. Our political enemies right now are actual enemies of the state. There are people in the Republican Party who are enemies of the state. Literally, indict, convict, rinse, lather, and repeat. Why is Trump still standing in the middle of the street, naked, hurling feces at us? Cowardice and carelessness.